I wrote on premises. Excuse
So that means Roberta, you're in charge or Linda in charge?
me. See how that worked?
See how we do that?
Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Me?
All right, is it 5 o'clock yet?
Mhm.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Are there any additions to the agenda?
The only thing I don't think it's unfair that we actually talked about it, but something was suggested about rolling of the CDs the next
Right.
time, so. We can just, it's part of our discussion anyway, but. The next time we roll it over, different consideration.
Helen, was there
There
anything?
was something else, and I apologize that I didn't write it down, I'll think of it.
Okay. So, it was also suggested that we could move Kenny up to.
Yeah.
Right now, we ready to go?
I'm preparing his packet right now,
Okay,
so give me just a second.
okay, yeah, that's a good idea. All right, so let's review the minutes of the last meeting, which you have in your packet.
So I'm not allowed to vote because I wasn't at the last meeting, so I can't attest to their.
Well, I didn't know that.
No.
Why am I arguing with you?
So, and Melissa's
Well,
not
and
here
Melissa's
yet.
waiting,
so I don't
sometimes
either.
Well,
Oh,
Melissa's
good.
waiting to come in,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, we want to make sure we have a quorum to approve them.
well, we don't, if you can't vote.
1, 2,
Well, with
3,
Melissa.
4, with Melissa
Okay.
here.
All right, I'm here. Sorry, Caroline, I was just calling you because I wasn't sure.
Oh, no, sorry, it's all crazy.
We're all
So,
good, we're good.
yeah, so if you're not at the meeting, you can't. approve
Okay,
them.
makes sense. So Melissa, we are at the point of approving the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay.
I make a motion the minutes would be approved as submitted.
Is there a second?
Here, these can
All in
go
favor?
down
Aye.
next and I'll go on top of you.
Melissa, are you in favor? of
Yes.
approving the minutes, okay, then, any opposed? No. All right, the minutes have been approved.
Oh, here, why don't you put them on the piles
Okay,
and then, because they'll stay in order that way.
oh, so these are all in piles, okay.
Yeah,
So while we're waiting for that, should be.
I don't know how long it's gonna be. Okay. Well. Do you want to give your report now?
no,
No?
How about you?
You guys think like the deal.
We'll have the financial.
and we'll go on top of these. We're almost done.
We'll have to, I'll just go through the. So our balance sheet, with the $4,223, that's what's left in the DCD fund. We have warrants,
And then this one right here.
6,941.48.
That's. Okay,
Yeah, and then these can be gathered and passed around. Sorry about that, Denny.
no,
Sorry,
I could have.
I guess I should read them in the order that you're getting the minor missed that, so.
Okay, so this is what's left because our fiscal year.
I'm gonna put the Nelson Public Library last.
Well, actually, so,
Okay.
yeah, so this is actually. This is the April one. Okay. So that's what's left for us. So if we have any overages, that's all we got. And, so that. That's what's on the balance sheet. Talk about.
And this is not where we would take additional funds out for the shed.
Okay, and you can take one and I'll have one.
Correct.
We have an extra.
Correct, because we defined that project as a capital item.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
So
No,
on to the budget study. Sorry.
Back up for a sec. Do we expect that we're gonna have warrants in excess of that $4,000 in May? You know, or in June? Since we've got
Maybe.
only $4,000 for 2 more months and our warrants tend to be more than that each month. Or there's some costs that are in these recent warrants that we're not gonna be looking at for May and June, so we're not gonna be overdrawn. I mean, when I look at this, this is what, $7,000, which is pretty hefty. If we
Consider,
don't,
it's very high considering what we usually spend, I think.
yeah, and. you
Well,
know,
that has the roof in
repair is
it,
there.
right.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
at. The roof
Yeah.
repair is in there. So if you took that out, it would only be about $2,000. So we
Correct.
should be okay, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
It'll be
Okay,
tight,
I
but
just wanted to be sure.
No. Bear with me, I'm not used to the balance sheet whole. Oh,
Well, I don't do numbers, so there you go.
but you asked the right questions, and they're good questions, so. Going on to, I guess we can start with the building, library building report. I don't know where that is in your package. It's the one that's, should be about 8,491.
Okay.
So base, did you find it?
Yeah.
So basically, we knew, and we're gonna be over budget in library maintenance repairs for the remainder of the years, that those were unexpected repairs. And the other thing that's noticeable is, there's a lot of seasonality in your fuel and propane, so we had some pretty too high months. I can't say for sure what that's gonna look like for the next 2 months. I mean, it's a little cool right now, but I'm hoping that May and June, that should drop off quite a bit.
I've turned the heater off too, so that'll help.
The increase in propane costs and additional expenses, one of them I remember was the plumber.
Mhm.
Yes.
Anything else you want me to be specific about in the minutes so we remember it? Or-
No, not that. I think we have,
Good.
we'll have some
Good
savings
enough.
in the electricity unless, there's more seasonality with
Yes.
that, I don't know. So that's pretty much it there.
Well, we are gonna spend some dollars, maybe in our future discussion with Kim.
With what?
With Kim.
Oh, right. And that's, oh, yeah.
Okay. I guess going back to the budget status report. So that's the long one that has the revenues and expenses for the library.
It has a blue thing on top.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That is,
That's okay.
I really liked that. I asked her, what was this?
I'm gonna start color coding them.
The original that came in my email, so I'll know for next time. It's just I have too many copies. So
Thank you, that's helpful.
basically, we still only have 3 property tax allocations. We'll get the last one in the last period of the year. So, we're basically 75% of our, our annual budget. Our donations continue to be down due to the book sale being moved, so that hopefully when the shed, is there, that will come back to what it was.
We should have a grand opening.
We will.
And
For the collection jar.
and we have some interest on our year-to-date interest on
Great.
in our library. And then down under expenses, we continue to be over budget in the salary and fringe because of the way it was budgeted in.
And the roof repair was,
Did we ever get any resolution from the select board on our share of the computer software and
VCR.
management?
I don't
Did-
believe we ever submitted a letter.
No,
Shame on us.
Oh, I've never heard of it. I haven't heard it.
I think we just let it go.
It's still a big chunk of change.
Yeah.
We should put it on the agenda for next month.
I think
Because I
we
think we
should.
should just,
I really think
prepare.
we should at least put something out there on the record that it's a
I
problem.
know, I
for
think
us.
someone's
they
gonna
may,
draft it.
they may not do
Because
anything
what did
about it.
they did it based on,
They did it based on the number of computers you have, and because we are there to serve our community, we have a lot of computers, and so we're taking a big hit.
And
on that.
probably one of the smallest budgets.
And
Mm.
I feel like even if they don't act on it, I just want it part of sort of the record
Their
that,
notes, yeah.
that we're feeling the pinch on that one.
so there's really not, the stories are pretty much the same. The only big thing that hit this month was the roof repairs. And I think that, the other ones, the library books and dues will continue to be over for the rest of the year, though I think that, Caroline was managing to sort of, you're only you're gonna hold off on orders if you can,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
What's the insurance, what happened with the insurance? I wasn't here the last 3 months. Did we just, were told by the town it was gonna be X and it turned out to be Y, is that?
Essentially. And that's a number that the town gives us.
Yeah.
That's
After
nothing
usually
that
the-
we
We have no-
estimate. Yeah.
I mean, we do our best bet, I mean, and when we meet, when we do our budget, we ask Lisa, she really has to apply the rates of increase, and if it changes, that's something we can manage.
May I ask if we got the, money back from the roofer, the roof, the $500?
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a credit.
It was 62, then it's 57.
Mhm.
Got it. I just want to make sure I include that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Postage is over, it's over, not by a lot, but I assume it's.
There's more interlibrary loans.
I don't know where that's gonna go, interlibrary loans for next year without the funding, so that's, I guess, a discussion for future conversation. Advertising continues to be down, so some of the expenses will net against each other. If you back out the $50,000 transfer that's related to moving the fund, really our negative is only 10,181. So 5,000, quite a bit of that is,
Almost 6.
yeah, almost 6,000.
Is-
So I remembered what I wanted to add to the agenda, and I don't know when the timing is for this, but I would like to have a brief update on what we're expecting to change in our programs and our finances as a result of all this.
We started talking about that last time, but that's what I was thinking, that maybe we should put that on the agenda again for next month.
See, yeah.
Because I missed last meeting and I'm not sure. All I see is the email saying, well, this program's not gonna happen, or that's not gonna happen.
Future funding.
I can address what I know during the librarian's report too.
Okay. You should
Thank
you.
Because then there might be specific programs that we want to try to fundraise.
I'm just glad we
for
didn't
that
decide to
program.
build an addition and we don't have a big hole in the ground,
No, there's,
you know?
yeah. I
Yeah.
think Divine Providence sometimes wins out, even if we don't like it.
So then the only
We're
thing
grand out.
left to look at is the library capital. And that's now 109,417.
It's pink.
And that includes the 50,000 that we took out of our excess fund and moved it into that, and then the CD.
Since 3 months or what did
We decided on 6 months, and so, and we went forward with that, it's 3.71%, I think was the amount. But we did, there was an inquiry, and I don't know, from Frank, I think he said his name was. And he says, Frank Cody, who's on the water board, who's a Wall Street finance guy. And he said, well, maybe you need to speak to the library about doing it a month by month roll it over by month, because the rates were higher. But, depending on how often we meet, I mean, that's, I mean.
That's a lot of.
Cyclical.
Yeah,
I mean,
for the amount of money that we're gonna make, and we wanted it for 6 months because we didn't want to know. Yeah. I mean, so I guess it's up for discussion, when we renew it 6 months from now, maybe things will be stabler. We won't want to do it month by month, but that's, yeah, I mean, if.
I'm getting Kenny stable. Anyways, may- yes, Rick, may I ask you to read the number for the capital? Is it 109,417.98? Is that what you're? Because I'm just, I can never see this number.
I know.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
109,417.98.
That's our balance.
So our 6 months
Thank
is
you.
September, October. What is 6 months from now?
October.
October,
Well, if it was, because it was April.
right.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
We don't need to approve the financial report. do we?
No. Well,
The warrants we do.
we need to approve the warrants.
Warrants in the amount of
Let's do that.
69.
And the warrants are,
Quickly.
because I didn't have these offhand, 7,312.42.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I have a pen.
Yeah, you can borrow that. I can, thank you.
This is gonna. be the next
Okay,
system.
then we are on to you, Kenny.
Thank you for having me.
Um,
Melissa, I don't think we've met.
Hello.
Neighbors. It turns out, although we didn't really know each other, it goes to all of you. We share a couple of important common interests. Number one is libraries, and number two is the community. my interest in libraries, which is an extensive, started very early. When there was no internet and not everybody had the World Book,
Encyclopedias?
and
Yeah,
teachers said, go to the library. So we went every Thursday night. And when nobody was looking, it was a very social affair. And I remember in 1963, somebody said, because we could turn the radio on. Somebody said, you gotta hear this song I just heard. Yeah, what is it? I don't know. It's like, I wanna hold your hand or something.
Yeah.
Who's doing it? I don't know. I think the Beatles. How do you spell it? I don't know.
Oh, my God, that's iconic.
Anyhow, the library was a destination for dates in college. Because meet at the library, find a carol somewhere nearby, stop, take a break together. And then I was a competitive sailor in college, and because of that, I got interested in boat design and boat building and stuff. Back to the library, Boston Public Library, New York Public Library, and then somebody's friend of a friend of a friend said, so you gotta go to the New York Yacht Club Library, New York City. And I got myself to New York City and walked up, took elevators, secret passwords. I finally got to the New York the New York Yacht Club Library, very, very posh kind of a place, and they said, I'm sorry, can't come in. I have my letter of introduction and everything. Sorry. Why? Well, you don't have a sport coat.
Oh.
So headed back down to the elevator. It was a bus. And they were very adamant.
Yeah.
And so the elevator operator just came up, and he said, how'd you make out? I said, not very well. They turned me down.
Hmm.
He said, I said, well, we don't have a sport coat. He said, I'll give you mine. And so I had a red elevator operator sport coat on, and I got in, and it was wonderful. Anyway, I'm self-taught in many ways because of libraries. I have a degree in biology, which I didn't do very much with, but I got interested in other things, and so libraries are very important. Your library sign is one of the first thing, it is the first sign
you see.
in the village when you come in from the south.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't count Shore Acres as being in the village. And it's kind of
It's a nice. word.
an introduction to the town. It's kind of a language of the town. It is kind of a hint, kind of an invitation. There's a signature, I think, of the town. And the first four letters in signature is sign. So I think it's very important. All signs are important. You know that. You've seen signs all your whole life. They've been a hobby of mine because I've been involved with them for a long time. You have a very identifiable 3D shape, which is an open book. And it's ragged around the edges and is failing, basically. It's readable, but I will show you in pictures what I'm talking about. It was erected in 2010 by Robert Bush, who has passed away. Otherwise, I would be consulting with him, I'm sure. My proposal is to undertake a repair and restoration, and with no change to the general appearance or location. Let's go over the photos.
it's
I
certainly
think they
needable.
should be in pretty much order, so that we're all looking at the same thing. That one's my first one. And that is showing a crack in one of the supporting posts. Right above that is a little black circle, which is a fastening which holds the main body of the sign into that post.
Mm.
And you can see the lichen has grown
Mhm.
on the pages of the book down below, and you can see the surface of the white under the RY of library is crazed.
Yeah.
And certainly needs to be resurfaced. The next image I have is this one. And black lines across the public library, another deteriorating feature of that surface, which has to be sanded and repainted for sure. I would remove the hardware on the left stanchion.
What is that? That's just a.
Hard to know.
plastic, it just-
I don't.
It's a broken flagpole holder.
Uh-huh.
We used to fly a flag down there, but the wind, I went through like 4 of them.
Okay, so it's not. a
Stop.
lot.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Light is
So
Yeah.
that will go
on
in
the
your
ground.
design.
That
yeah.
might be it on the far left down.
Yeah, I was glad I did.
Also, the way the hours signs hangs under theirs.
I thought it was
Oh.
Gone greatly.
yes.
it's a little MacGyvered.
The
And it's
next,
hard to read.
the next photo is the finial,
Yeah. Well,
and they can be removed through the screw heads.
yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
there's two on each stanchion, and those I would remove and fill the cracks and basically put the same thing right back in.
Mhm.
The posts, I don't know whether they're basically hollow. I don't propose to change those at all.
They don't need replacing?
No, not in my expert opinion.
But you're gonna build a boat that doesn't sink, then I guess those.
I'm used to building things and then you throw them in the water. So I know about weathering, I know about ventilation and
No, I know.
failures.
Good point. That was a good point.
The next one is probably about the same thing, so we can kind of bypass that. I don't think it's
Right.
telling us anything we don't know.
It's just a little closer.
Hmm.
You see, let's look at this for just a minute. This one.
Yep.
You see the gray perimeter?
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm not sure about that color because as you look at the sign, as I look at the sign. I see the shape of an open book, but that's all I see. And you better see it quick because people are going 40 miles an hour. I think part of a sign is to be inviting. It's to catch your attention. It's to do all the things I said it was, and I think you would all like to have greater patronage at the library. I think you'd like to see activity. I think you'd like to see a pride in the library, and I think you're all looking for philanthropy in some form. You're all looking
And I
for-
think you said something earlier, Kenny, too, that I think is really true, that we also want to represent our community well. And this goes beyond the libraries. What you're doing, it goes beyond it. It is the first sign you see, and it's, it is an iconic. And you're right, you can't see, it's like, what, it should be three-dimensional looking and it's flat.
Do
I
we
have a-
need that? Do we need that piece?
Yes, you
You
can't
gotta
hold
put
the
it-
sign
I
on.
mean, you
It's
could,
all part of it.
well,
It's
you,
all
so you
part.
couldn't put some kind of a bracket that would hold the sign, it's gotta be on.
I'm gonna let them go.
It's already, the method of fastening
Is
the
already-
sign to the stanchions is already there.
Okay.
The fastenings are stainless steel.
Okay.
So there's a good possibility they're gonna come out. The bottom line is, I don't know,
Gotcha.
but this is what I think.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to add to the complexity of it.
So what color would you recommend?
I don't know. Depends on if you'd like it to stand, if you'd like for the book to stand out a little more, I'd darken the color a little bit.
Black?
Now, this color is one of the colors in the library.
Mhm,
It's the trim color.
mhm,
But that
I
could
think you could
change.
throw a little black tint in that
mm,
and just make it a little darker, but the same kind of tone, I
Right.
think. Okay, now, we go to this. And at the same time, you're looking at that, look at the next one. This is a suggestion. I know it's not Kenny's library. But still. The sign that has the hours on it is unreadable
mhm.
from the road. And almost when you pull in, and I've tried to pull in and look over there, and
It's a
those
jumble.
letters are only 1 3/8 tall. I'm proposing the shape is a
Consistent.
little different. One is all caps. This is all caps too. It
One
doesn't
has the
have to
curve,
be, but
one
I
has the
didn't want,
cutouts and the other doesn't.
I didn't want the
At the top.
capital letters to
One has
shout
the-
at you.
the the top was cut out and.
That's the only
Yeah,
thing
that's
I can tell.
Yes, and I
But the other
think,
one.
I think
No.
the
Oh, no,
separation
it's,
on the left side is a
Is a
little
little
more
bit-
delicate.
Yeah.
I don't like the.
It is,
the
it is.
Bold, the really bold, you know, shout at you kind of graphic.
Yeah.
There seems to be a little more outline and color in this one than that.
The size that I propose for that,
See that?
for the hour sign is literally this big.
Good.
And I propose that it be located on a standalone lollipop sign
Look at that.
near the driveway to the north. So when you drive in, you would see this. Yeah, and the lettering is 2 inches,
Just-
And
but
where
it's
would
gonna
this- Where would this be?
That would say
to
where
the
it
right of
is.
the driveway
Right of the driveway.
when you drive in. So, and fairly close so that you can just see it right there.
just as a standalone on its
a
own stake.
Standalone lollipop
actually-
sign.
Because what if we ever change the hours?
So the hours, I'm proposing to move them from hanging under the sign to a standalone sign. This would be basically the size of it.
Hmm.
And it asks you to drive in, stopping to look at it on the road is dangerous no matter what you say. It just is. And that's the only option short of driving in. Even when you drive in, you have a hard time reading
Mhm.
that hanging sign. If I propose this, you drive in, you see it, you can turn around and drive out. Very safe,
Mhm.
I believe. Well, I know it is very safe. Just
Well, I
get
know
off
one
the
thing, you
road.
can't read I can't read the hours.
So we've gone from 2 3/8 to 2 inches, 1 3/8 to 2 inches, which is 30% larger.
And it is too big to hang
Yeah,
underneath.
well, because you got snow also,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean,
Right.
that's been the problem when we've had snow years, is that you don't get to see the vent. One thing I'm questioning, I mean, I get what you're saying, Kenny, in terms of, you know, it needs to be bigger. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And you know,
But I'm wondering whether it should be big enough so that when you do drive by, you can quickly see if the library is open that day or not, without having to stop and turn in. I don't know.
that's that's the flag that says open or not open. That's how I look at it. That's how I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
truly,
there's
that's just a
that.
comment. But here's the other thing. I actually, I like the idea. I don't want to people say this. I like the idea of having a standalone sign that says this
Yeah.
is the library. This kind of makes it look a little,
Cheesy.
yes. I was gonna say, yes. Junky, yeah.
Hmm.
It just does. Maybe
You can
it's.
talk amongst yourselves and I will work with anything,
What do you think?
When you put this at the end of the driveway,
not at the end. No,
not at the end,
no.
in by the parking, in where it broadens to the parking.
Somewhere disagreeable, but after you drive in, you're no longer driving. You're in a driveway. Now you can see the sign. So it's not out close to Route 2, Helen.
Oh,
It's closer to the building.
Hmm.
That was my suggestion, okay? And I made it abbreviation, and no AM, no PM. And I put it in a list because I think you can scan that and know immediately.
I think one thing we could determine, maybe have a discussion about it at another point, I don't think it's quite, I feel it's not quite settled, is where, I like the individual sign, I think where.
Where it goes.
Where it goes, and that's something.
Again,
they-
these
right, I
these
know
are
that. I'm just saying,
preliminary concepts.
I'm just want to move on from that, I think that's right, but I like
Okay.
the individual sign, frankly, for the library.
Now,
Do you like this, Karen?
there's 3 versions of the main sign.
3. Yeah,
Just look like.
Carolyn, I actually have it in my email too. I can see, so if you don't, but.
This has a separator. This does not,
Right, got it.
okay?
Yeah.
And this one, it didn't come out very well, but this one has colored pages.
Mm.
Now, I've spent a lot of time online looking for rural New England library signage. And this, the last slide is kind of a dark example of painted pages or colored pages. This, our sign could certainly use it because there's a lot of dimension to it.
Mhm.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in this picture, you can see the shadows are required for you to be able to see it,
Mhm.
but many times you don't. The second thing is, note the public is a little bit smaller than the library. That's very common. Again, trying not to shout at you.
Mm.
The library is the big word. Public is just a little smaller. And this is called title case, which is the first letter is capitalized. Okay. Let's see, oh. The sign is flat. You probably realize that even though the lettering. As you kind of believing that there's a page open. I personally don't think it works at all. If it has worked, its days are over. This is no longer an attractive kind of presentation of the library. So I'm proposing that these be just a flat lettering.
Kenny, as someone who's looks at a lot of signs. Meaning you, not me. If you do coloring on the pages, and then you've also got a darker color here. I mean, on this one, they've separated them with a white border. I guess I'm sort of feeling like if we're gonna go with a darker color here, I'm less inclined to color the edges of the
That's
paper.
fine too.
But I don't know if what you're,
It's
Or
all
if
paint,
it
you don't
makes
like the
sense.
color, you should paint enough.
well, I know, but I mean, it's not all about me, but I'm just saying, in this one, they've got that white border and then a darker thing. If we're gonna keep with the white stanch, the white posts,
You know,
I don't know. Do other people
Well-
have a feeling about that? I'm just sort of feeling like if we're gonna go with a darker color here, I'd prefer to keep our pages the shadow, but
Can you outline them in some way, like the edges of each page be a little bit darker and then the shadow under? Or do I do that?
well, that's sort of what we have here. I mean, you're kind of seeing the pages.
Just with the shadows,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
also note that the difference between those is there's no center line.
Mhm.
And there's 1,001 signs that use a book, either a closed book, an open book, a stylized book, a kind of a swash book, whatever. It's a very common sign for libraries. And we already have a pretty nice one. I don't know, I haven't found that you can replace this. I haven't found, this is commercial fiberglass. This is not handmade. This is, this is store bought. And I haven't found it to know anything more about it. I just, they're not available. I haven't found it.
Do you think, Kenny, back to that, I don't wanna get stuck on the coloring too much, but if, can you, with your skill, I guess redo the shadowing, what, maybe at once, or redo the shadowing?
I can use a piece of tape. But just temporary. I want to look at it. Look at that color.
I just think it'd be kind of, I mean, I actually like the iconic sign more than all the color, I also like your idea about darkening the back, so it doesn't blend into whatever, it kind of lose it a little bit.
How do you feel about this black line? Up the perimeter on the top page.
I'm happy with that. What would this be made out of? though, if it's
This is
not
adhesive vinyl.
completely-
This is
On a
very,
wood.
Except my
on a
piece, everything
wood
else.
back?
No.
you have a fiberglass sign.
Oh, so you just.
I would take it apart, I'd resurface it, take it back to my shop. And bring it up to a nice surface.
Right.
And then install commercially made by a graphics
Yeah.
company, a sign company. The same lettering, note the lettering, that's the same lettering that's on the Historical Society.
Mm.
And the same lettering that's on the community hall sign.
Right.
And you've done,
I did both of those.
Right.
So I suppose I can use them all as referrals.
no need.
It'd be
What-
nice to have them similar.
Yeah.
That's a sentiment I've heard, and it's got something to do with continuity
Mhm.
of the town. Again, it's not my library.
I
but-
agree with that.
People like it on the Historical Society signs and the community hall signs.
But it is your library. It is your
Yeah, it is.
library.
Yes, it is, but
Really not ours. We're just
I would
stewards.
have a good time if Diane were here,
Yeah.
but maybe I'll tell the story even though she's not.
What is
Oh.
the, what is the life expectancy for those materials?
Well,
Ish.
so the community hall sign was built the same year as the
Mm.
library sign, 2010.
Okay.
When I took that sign down to rebuild it, it's a totally new sign out here. The lettering was very, very intact, but the sign fell apart before Claire and I could get it to the dumpster. It just fell into pieces.
Mhm.
I'd like to think that I did something about that and the drainage and the waterproofness, but the lettering far outlasted the sign.
So I'm putting in the next,
And the benefit is if you ever want to do it again, sign companies keep all of this digital record forever. Because nobody's using wood anymore. They just, nobody can.
Mhm.
I happen to have that odd skill, but they use foam or they use PVC. PVC as in pipes that you're familiar with. And foam, 1.5 inch high density foam. But the minute something wants to move, the posts or anything, it cracks.
Well, that's why I was wondering about these, whether we wanted to replace those with PVC or keep them.
Let's paint them first.
Okay.
Let me get in there and sand and see what we got. If I encounter problems, should be the first to know. I'm not going any further, but I haven't done a thing except I said, to Caroline, I've got to go look for fastenings, see what's holding this thing together. And basically, that's all I've done.
would it be okay if I summarize what we've talked about, just so that we're all in this, make sure on this, if I'm making the minutes, it won't make us crazy later on? Because I'm not usually the minute taker. We prefer the darkening the background of the sign. Separation, a separate sign for hours, a location to be determined. There's some, suggestions, but along
If
the,
you
away
agree,
from the
if you
roadway.
agree, if you agree.
Yeah, well, I'm writing down what I think we agree. Retain the shadowing and the iconic historical significance of the sign that is consistent with the community hall and the historical society. So no additional heavy color, with the exception of, I think you
The
mentioned,
background, we wanted
the
the.
background and the
background.
line around this.
You know, putting a black line. around it.
And this is probably gonna be in the order of 1/4 inch to 3/8.
Black
Not much.
outline.
When somebody drives by, they're gonna look at the shape, and this enhances the shape just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Rather than the line, which
Instead
also
of the-
tells you the book is open, but the lettering didn't work.
So we're getting rid of this.
Yes,
And we're adding this,
and you're adding that, and you're getting rid of the swoopy lettering placement.
right? And are we putting in whatever those things are
The
called?
That's up to
separator.
You, I call it a separator,
Definitely the marker. I like the marker. I think it makes
and
it.
that's the one
Catches
without it.
catches my eye a lot quicker than just
Got it.
looking
I'll
at
add
the
that.
flat one.
Do the
Great.
community hall and the historical society have separators?
Yes, they
Okay,
do.
so,
Well, then let's separate.
Well,
Under. Between.
I've employed a graphic artist, I've paid for all of this, so I'm committed. If you say no, I'll eat it, not a problem, it goes with the turf of trying to say, what about this idea? And you have to have something to look at.
What is the end cost of?
Here we go. I got one subject before.
Okay. Oh, life expectancy within.
I should have gone there, maybe it's separate.
Okay. I've been involved with architectural restoration my whole life. I was centered on boats for 50 years. And At some point, I don't know how long ago, time flies, 15 years ago anyway. Island Arts produced a book called Artists of Northern Lake Champlain. I'm sure the library has a copy.
We might, it sounds familiar.
And they gave me a page, 2 pages actually, and there's pictures of my work and a little biography. I have work in permanent collections of several maritime museums, national maritime museums. And I've done display work for Vermont Teddy Bear and Simon Pierce. And more locally, I've done restoration work at St. Joseph's Cathedral. I was hired by a decorative painting studio in New York City. And I spent 4 months as a gilder on that project. And then they gave me the whole stenciling, decorative painting and gilding contract for the Lakeview Mortuary Chapel. You know, the little stone chapel at the, right there on North Ave.
Yes.
So I did all of that. I did the sign for the Cormier Winter Station that has houses in the Zamboni. And the 2 signs that you see here in town. You know, when I was working, and I traveled a lot. I even wanted to join the circus, at first said no. I worked with this troupe of decorative artists that just went all over the country, and I said, oh, it does for me. Claire said, no,
Thankfully, she's, yeah.
no, it's not. And I understand it's a very risky thing to do. Is just take off for monastery in Wyoming. And, you know, it's fraught with problems, but people are very talented and they come together to work for a period of time, and then they disappear. Anyway, and I'm involved with several other municipal projects right now.
So that would be the other question. What is the time
Yeah.
frame? And then
Cost
just give us an
timeline.
idea, just only because I know we have,
Well, I'm taking up too much time.
we're not taking up too much time. We're
Yeah.
talking, we're having a good discussion. I'm just mindful of the
Okay,
commitment we have.
I'll speed up with the cost.
Yeah.
The cost.
Get to the bottom line. No, this is great. We appreciate it.
Professional sign companies, professional graphic artists are anywhere from 65 to 125 an hour. I would charge you materials at my cost. Until I begin to start, I can't say, but I'd say it's probably on the order of $150. My professional time is $60 an hour. All travel is billed at 0.78 cents a mile. Payment. How does the library currently handle invoices? I ask that because other entities in town take up to 90, 120 days because you have to approve it. And then it has to go maybe to another, like the select board or somebody for them to approve it. I don't know how it works.
We do it every month
We approve it
here.
Every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can offer you my best intentions. I have a great deal of respect for everybody else's money. I work for people that basically pay me just like that. And I respect the budget. I respect the problems of having your building expansion kind of taken away. I know I know. However, I think the sign is important. And I would do the best I could for as little as I could. I could say $60 an hour, but no, it gets discounted. How much and how much, I can't tell you.
Well, do you know how many hours work is this?
That's kind of a bottom. line.
Well,
Or
I
could
don't
we
work eight-
ask,
I don't work 8 hours a day anymore.
No, I mean, just.
Or-
I
I think we're
just
trying to get to a round number of where we are with all this overall.
or could we ask what the other signs in town cost?
Yes, you sure can. I did 7 signs for the Historical Society. Everything from hours to open, to Dorwalt Barn, to Hook and Spoon,
Mhm,
to the big sign in front. And that was $2,200,
for all of them,
all of them.
okay.
And they were fabricated.
Mm.
I built the signs and then installed the lettering. the sign out in front, restored the posts, restored the caps. The buttons in the end had to be made new. The sign was totally new. And that was 3,500. I think this is certainly less than 1,000. Now, I've paid 160 to an artist to give you the proposals. If you tell me what you want, or what you want next, let's put it that way. I'll go back to her and say, this is kind of, now we're into it. So let's get what is actually going to be on the sign.
Mhm.
Now, we've already come a long ways. I mean, considering I got this for $160, it's not much. It was really.
And what was the timeline on this once we give an approval of this? Is it a 1 month project, 2 month project?
Humans, friends.
Easily a month.
Is it a month?
It's weather dependent
Okay.
for what you have.
We'll say up to.
I don't know whether also, if you were to ask me, if this was a vote and you were to ask me, I would say it's impossible to know until I get into it and see if there's something that has to be, we have to go backwards, we have to go this, that.
No,
I think the only reason, I think it's a good question. I would say up to 3, I just put up to 3 months in my notes, just because but only because we have
It
to
would be
figure
done
out
before the winter for
if
sure.
we need if we need a temporary
Well,
sign, how
that's
do we
what I
manage
was
that?
thinking, what are we gonna do in the meantime, that the sign's gone? And you have to have
We can
something.
figure that out.
That's not insurmountable. That takes a piece of plywood painted white
Yep.
in the shape of a book. Okay, and with a lettering.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
So is it,
glued on, you know, the ones you
I'll
just.
do that.
is it fair?
Oh,
to
you are
say-
awesome.
I'm sorry.
I love doing.
All right.
Is it fair to say that, I mean, we need to sit down and sort of discuss this after, after your presentation? Is it fair to say that any motion we make, if we were to make a motion that it would be up to but not exceeding a certain dollar amount, if we put that in as $1,000 or $800, is that fair? Is that something that we could discuss? And I'm
Absolutely,
just trying to get I'm
absolutely.
trying to get a sense of what this is gonna cost us without saying, okay, anything up to $10,000, Kenny, it's yours.
No, I'm not asking for that.
No, I get it. I just
I
want us
think
to be able to have a
you would
discussion.
be
about
into me for about $500. And that's including travel and
it. Okay.
my professional time and materials. It's, there is significant labor and it's
Okay,
not
a lot of time.
unskilled labor.
Mhm. No, I get it. I'm just saying,
We'll put
I
that
just
together.
want us to be able to have a discussion.
Yeah.
And know what we should be putting in our minutes and
That's
in our
awesome.
motion as what up to and not exceeding a certain
Yeah, we'll
amount.
do that. I would like. to
I-
do that.
I can tell you every step of the way. I don't know whether I would carry it with my own money. And then ask to be paid net on receipt. Okay? That's how that works. So I would be spending my money for the whole thing, for graphic artists, for materials. And my labor until it's accepted and installed.
Mhm.
It's,
So do
it's,
we have any other questions for Paul?
No.
No,
I
it
think
did a
we
great
need
job.
to-
Thank you.
That's good. Thank
Okay,
you.
well, thanks for.
thank you so
listening.
much.
And
The history of your
Yeah.
experience.
It's amazing who we have in here in town, isn't it? It's amazing the people that live here.
And I wasn't an early believer in the restoration of this building. I have to say that I was not early on. But considering the depth of talent that we have in this town, it's incredible. It's nice.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Kenny.
For all the work, it's great.
Appreciate all.
So we
that
will
you
ask,
do.
who should get back, well,
Well, let's-
Diane or somebody, yeah,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
We will be in touch.
Yes, and you know where to find us.
Good
Okay,
night.
Good night.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Kenny.
are you ready to do the librarians?
Sure.
Okay,
Um,
I'm gonna say as attached.
yeah, that's fine. Oh, and I do want to note for the minutes that his name is spelled Kenney.
Yeah.
I can't read my writing anyway, I type everything.
But you
because
can
guys
also
are
listen to the recording, so,
Getting-
okay.
Mhm.
The Vermont Humanities Reading and Discussion Series starts in a couple weeks. We are, this is the program that the Friends pays for. And we have a scholar that comes and leads each session. This year, we're gonna be reading things like the Declaration of Independence and the Gettysburg Address.
Cool.
Which seems timely.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we will get attendance with those.
Mhm.
Um. The, so we can talk about the basement later, but with the basement being so well cleaned up now, I wanted to see what people thought about offering storage space to the other island libraries that maybe don't have a great amount of storage at their libraries. Nothing crazy, no furniture or equipment or anything, but you know, overflow of puzzles, book set kits, like stuff like that. And really, it may just be Grand Island Alberg that would take advantage of this, or then has a good amount of storage already, but I don't imagine it being like a ton, but
Here's what, I just have I'm sorry, guys, but what worries me is that we spent a lot of time cleaning it out, lots of
Mm.
hours of you guys lugging stuff up and down. And it's hard when people start bringing things in, that how do you get it out? Whose responsibility is to get it out of there?
Yeah,
And what's the time frame? That's what worries me. It
What
kinda
a light
stays
is
there.
Damage. Might
Yeah, but if it gets damaged, the
Right.
liability of someone going up and down those stairs, I
Right.
mean, part of
Yeah,
the reason
I-
they closed off the library was so people wouldn't. go
Okay.
up and
I
down
just
the
worry about you
stairs.
put it in
That's
the
fine.
basement. Why do you really want it? That's my theory.
Yeah.
I asked my question
Okay.
myself. I'm sorry.
no, that's fine.
I'm not a big fan.
Given the recent experience, Caroline, with the person who stored stuff down there and then just.
Oh,
Yeah, that, I mean, I
Wow.
think she is kind of the exception to the rule, like
Yeah,
this,
probably.
other
I could-
librarians, like, but.
True, yeah.
Okay. Um, I can't remember why, like, this designation is in my library, in the report. Maybe we talked about it at the last meeting, just the difference between book sales and donations. What we track right now, donations are $100 or more. And then anything smaller than that goes under the book sale line. And once the book sale is back at the library, it will be easier for us to track it, because right now, sometimes if Corinne or Lisa notice that the box downstairs is too full, they'll just put it in to our account, which is great. But it makes it harder to track, like, so if we want to track that, like, we can definitely do that, but I would say, like, we'll start July 1st, like, so. Are there any questions about that? Okay. We had our insurance walkthrough, the risk mitigation, so, someone comes through the library to see, you know, who could trip on something, what would fall on somebody, like that kind of stuff. We had all, really minor issues that we had to take care of this year, which is great. Things like having the, exits upstairs marked weren't, so it's an easy fix by just buying a glow in the dark exit sign. Not that folks are in the library a lot at night, but glow in the dark was the preference for that. Like plugging up outlets in the kids' room with like the baby, the outlet covers. So there's like 5 things to take care of. They'll be done by the end of the week, and I'll send proof with pictures to the insurance company, and that will be all set.
That doesn't sound like any of them were expensive.
Less than $30.
Baby covers.
Yeah, yeah, it was like less than $30, I think, to buy the supplies we needed. And some of it was stuff that, like, you know, we had to, like, a splitter in an outlet that didn't need to be there, but it was left over from the holiday. So that's a free, easy fix to just
Yeah.
take that out, so,
thank you.
but, do you want me to talk about the ILMS funding right now? I mean, it's really not that much, like, they, the state of the Vermont Department of Libraries has received half of their yearly budget and are unsure if they will receive the second half. There's no news yet on how that will affect anything or anybody. So that's really all I have right
I
now.
would suggest that we put it on the agenda for the June meeting and see if we have more information and can really spend, I mean, it was great to hear from Kenny, but he took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I think we should, I'd like to have a real discussion about.
But that's,
how
I
this is
mean,
all
yeah.
affecting us, But it doesn't sound like you know anymore.
No.
anyway. I did remember what I wanted to talk about, and it wasn't just that. I don't have a clue who the Friends are and what they do. And I
Mm.
think it would be really beneficial to the trustees and the Friends to have some kind of an event that includes
Mhm.
all of us. And I think it should be an annual thing that we get together, you know, maybe on a summer afternoon or something.
We've tried to do that
and
before. The last time we did it, I think it was like me and Diane and like Courtney.
It's not a
But we
secret-
can
it's
try
like-
it
it's like a
again.
secret-
But it's
like
like
a secret society.
I
Yeah,
don't know who
My
they are.
But we
neighbors,
can
my
try
neighbors,
again.
one of them, and they.
I
we
mean,
can-
because they didn't come because.
we usually did like a spring mixer with the trustees, the Friends and the volunteers. And like the first couple of years we did it, like we had great attendance. And then it just kind of fell to the wayside because folks, it was too hard to schedule something or like,
I mean, I think.
so, but
could-
we can try again.
Maybe we could do it, on an evening or an afternoon before one of our board meetings, like before our July board meeting or something and
Mhm.
start it.
How about if we talk about
3:30?
it at the next,
Or
let's
let's
put an agenda,
Let's talk about
because,
it.
because they,
But I just think, I don't know, to me, they are a secret society.
maybe
and
just
I wanna
discuss,
get a sense of
And
who
we're
they
gonna
are and what they
discuss
do.
Kenny's proposal at the next board.
Yeah.
meeting.
Because when I went to the plant sale and it was friends, I said, oh, and I saw Colleen Shaw. I said, oh, I didn't know you were part of this.
He's-
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and it's,
future funny.
I didn't know.
and I don't really know what they
Oh.
do.
But
aside
are
from
they
the plant
sort of
sales.
organized? I mean, do they
That's what
have
I want to
like
know.
well, I'm thinking that it might be good to ask them, you know, just we'd like to meet with you. What would work for you?
Right.
An afternoon, an evening, a morning?
Or maybe
you
they
know?
have a standing meeting. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Well, they will be meeting after the plant sale at some point to kind of review the plant sale. So,
Maybe I can reach out to Colleen and say, you
I
know,
don't think she's connected to it.
Oh.
I think that.
well, she's on there now,
No, I
but
know
Mary
she is.
DiTilio is
let's go through
the president.
Yeah,
Oh.
so
So-
go that way.
I
but-
don't know Mary DeFilio.
That's okay.
But see, we don't even have we don't
Yeah,
even know
who's-
these
who's-
people.
Well, you can also look on our website.
No, but I mean, I can get the
No,
list
it's
of
just
names,
about- it's
but it
just about
doesn't mean I
cultivating,
know.
yeah,
It's-
cultivating.
We need to keep that relationship more.
Okay,
All right.
yeah, all right, so we will, who is going to contact the Friends to see if we can meet?
I think we're gonna have a, I
We're
have
gonna
an
discuss in
agenda.
June.
Well,
Okay,
we're gonna, you're gonna
Okay.
invite, yeah.
all right.
So add to next agenda.
Yes,
Okay. Next meeting's gonna be.
I'm not gonna read my writing, I'm telling you
Okay.
guys. I'm in trouble.
You're doing good.
I forgot to put on the upcoming programs that we're having a jigsaw puzzle competition next Tuesday night. So tell your friends, bring your grandma, whatever, like, that's the only thing I missed on there.
Hey, we are grandmas. Well, I'm not.
And I think that's all I got.
That's excellent.
What's next, building?
Building.
Yeah,
report.
building reports.
Carolyn, do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
So the building report, the roof has been repaired. Right? That's all done. And we all know about the basement has been completed.
Yeah.
And we
They're
received,
done.
what was that?
They're done.
Mhm.
Yes.
I was just, yeah, I was writing, it, you know, basement complete, it's complete, okay.
In the carpets, we've received actually 3 quotes. Someone came yesterday, it was, so I think it's called Flooring 360, is that, Carolyn, I can't remember the name of the place,
Yeah,
from Williston, and it seems, Carolyn, like you said, that they seem pretty promising, like they might be the best fit, but we're just waiting for their quote. And we're probably,
right.
right, we're
And that's
looking at-
gonna be a July expense, right?
Yeah.
That's not gonna be.
Well, it'll be next year at
Next
least.
fiscal year.
Right, right, yeah, yeah. In considering like mostly just the tile carpet pieces, right?
Yeah, like the carpet tiles.
Right, so if something,
Replacements are easier.
it's easy to just replace. So that's where we stand with that. And then, oh, you were saying, oh gosh, I'm spacing out. Sorry, Tracy was planning to come to do the door, right? The door, the bottom of the door.
Yeah, he's got a long list. It's all on the building report of like different things that he's working on, waiting for parts to come in, stuff like that.
Right.
And I ended up sending an email to the select board to just say like what rock stars Tracy and Michael are, because they've helped us so much already this year. So just to recognize them.
So when, he's coming to fix that gap, is that what
Yeah,
you're talking? that
in the
gap?
door, the front door, yeah, and not the front,
Once-
you know.
Yeah, but does it make sense to have him wait? Because at some point, we're gonna have to build.
We
a
need
ramp
something now.
Going to.
And it'll be like a $30 fix. It's just,
Okay.
we,
'Cause we're
the
gonna have to
wind
have
and the
him come
critters.
back.
Yeah,
It's also a
like,
waste of a lot of energy, like when you have air conditioning or heat on, it's just like,
Okay.
True.
yeah.
and then, yeah, the base, I don't know how many people have actually seen the basement. I know Caroline and I've been down there and like,
Mhm.
really good. Um,
I would recommend everybody stopping by to see not only like the work that was done, but like what it looks like mostly cleaned up. So
Alright.
just,
No giant
2
spiders.
cents.
and
huh?
No giant
Oh,
spiders.
gosh, I'm not going down there.
No,
actually, it's much, it's, in Caroline, she vacuumed last week, like vacuumed the whole.
that made a big difference.
Wowza.
Okay,
Okay.
moving on. The shed.
So this is what I know from me and is that what's next on the agenda, the shed?
Well, it's part of the.
Oh, the
bill.
building, okay. So Betsy and I forgot I had to do this part too. Betsy and I met with Carl Rocca and Craig Emmons. And Craig is going to order the shed. He has ordered the shed. If we don't get the money, he'll eat it. He can sell it to somebody else, no problem.
I saw that.
He is also aware that we are tax exempt. I'm working on getting like the correct paperwork to provide him with that. But again, he's kind of like, whatever, I'll just take it off the bill. Like, seems like a pretty casual guy. He will supply the pavers that the shed will go on. Nothing else needs to be done. Tracy, who used to be an electrician, can help set up electricity for the shed.
Nice.
And that will just fall under like him working under public works. It won't be a separate
Right.
whatever. Once we have all the final costs and everything, Betsy will take that to
Select board.
the select board.
And we'll send it to
Um,
the CIs, to the capital planning committee, not for their approval, just for information.
Right.
And what, does it have to get approved again by the select board, or is that just for their information?
I think it's just a courtesy saying what the final everything is gonna be.
Yeah, the recommendation was that even in our own projects, like we go back, this time we don't have to pick 3 different vendors. But
right,
we had to get a permit, maybe those things. This is kind of here's the final cost, here's how we're gonna pay for it. And the impact on, because we'll have the grants, I think.
right.
And we'll have whatever percentage of it.
And then just some other little notes about it. The door and the window are both insulated. The roof has some insulation and a vapor barrier. The walls are going to be exposed, and we said we wanted the walls to stay exposed. It's just 2x4s because they will get covered with bookshelves anyways, and we can choose to insulate the actual walls however we want. And yes, we should definitely have a grand opening for the shed, cook hot dogs, and have people who attend help us move the books into it.
Ah,
You
there you
know, they
go.
did a great thing. Did you see the library that had like
Yes.
1,000 people
Yes.
standing
Oh,
down the
yeah.
street and they passed
Yeah.
the books?
So,
That would be really fun
Yeah.
to do.
and
Like,
everything is like, everything is organized in the basement for books to go to the shed right now, so it will
do we
be-
have enough shelving?
maybe that's another reason I would like everyone to stop by to see what we have in the basement. Not all of it can be used for the shed. Some of it can stay down there and be
We must
storage, but
We did, you know, when in doubt, draw it out, right?
Yeah.
So mentions of the
Yeah.
shed, mentions of what we have.
So you said Craig ordered the shed already, and it's
Mhm.
like an 8 week, 6 to 8 week, when do we expect it to actually arrive at his?
mid-ish May,
Oh,
so
okay, right
soon.
about the time
He
the
said the
grants arrive.
summertime is when the builders get really busy. So if we were to wait until we had the money,
Yeah, that was.
we wouldn't get it till the fall. So,
Okay.
it will be here
Good.
soon. He has a place to store it for us, so it doesn't have to sit on the property, like,
Well, we got the
So-
grant answer on the 18th.
that's at the 18th.
That's
Okay.
is that a Saturday, whatever that.
It's a Sunday.
All right, well, then the 17th is when they meet.
Okay,
So I'll probably know. If not that evening, I'll know by Monday. So we'll have to store it for very long. And then he will do the installation. Is Carl also gonna come back and be here for that? And Tracy?
I don't know that he
We'll
has
figure
to.
Out exactly. how
I don't
it's
know. I
gonna
mean,
work.
we can always ask them to come and assist. But I think Craig got a pretty good understanding of where and how we
Where
wanted it
it's gonna be laid
situated.
out.
Yeah. And what was the other thing I was gonna say?
I know that,
I don't know.
once the shed is in, Brian will talk to Robinson. He gets a contractor's discount anyway, and maybe Robinson's will also even be more generous, given that it's a public project.
And the Friends have offered to help with some of the overage
Okay,
that like work that Brian would do or materials or whatever,
Okay.
so.
well, it's great that Tracy will do the electricity.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that sounds
Okay, so
like
that's
it's
good.
under control.
For now.
Okay, old business,
Thank you.
Angie.
Okay, well, I don't know. Yes, I think this is, we need to get moving on this, the capital improvement submission. It's due at the end of June. So that it gets in the cycle for the board, the select board. We've moved everything up because we're learning. It needs to happen that way for everybody's input. But that means that at the June meeting, we have to have the documents with the costs and what we believe, our best estimate, of the costs, what we believe our priorities are for the next it's gonna be a 6-year plan, really a 6-year plan, but going forward. And we just have to,
Do we have to have a project each year?
Nope.
Okay.
you don't have to. Not at
Can
all.
we just come up with 3 or 4 projects and not assign them years? No, I mean, seriously, like,
No,
you
that's
can't
right.
do that. You have
No,
to assign them
because
years.
you're putting together a budget for
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
home, you know, your
Yeah.
place. Here's the other thing that I would suggest, guys, we have, we really seriously, we know we do this, but think about what the library, what the community needs, what the library needs. I keep thinking about the painting part, and I have to go look again, 'cause I look. Is that something, could we push that? I would like us to have a discussion, maybe next time, it's way too late, but about outside, tying the outside together now.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I've been thinking about since we didn't get the addition was, and especially given the fact that we're gonna be putting the book shed where it is,
Mhm.
I was wondering about on the other side of the book shed, sort of in that area there. Putting some kind of a nicer gravel surface and putting nice outdoor furniture there and really making
Mhm.
an extension of the library as an outdoor space.
So between the
Or-
building and the shed or
No.
the shed and the field?
Sort of in front of the shed, so if the
Here's what
shed,
here's what I think, what you're saying, we actually need a little design here. I
Mhm.
feel like we kind of, and we did a good job placing the shed, but kind of plop, we
Oh,
plopped
we
the
haven't-
garden,
that was the
plopped the seat.
only
We
place.
plopped, yeah, we
Okay.
plopped, I don't say plop, we had the word garden here, we had the other garden here, we had the shed over here.
Mhm.
And now I think, I take a breath and say, I think it's a great idea to have some good outdoor
You probably
space.
try to tie, I
All
see what you're
together.
saying, you want to tie all that.
So
Well,
what,
it's some
yeah, so.
landscaping, not just a piece of,
Right.
not just a sand pile here to sit chairs
No, I
in.
get it. And I was thinking of either here or to make a really nice path between the shed and the thing and having this be a really nice outdoor seating. You know, I don't know, but you're
I
right.
think we need
to think
we need an
about it.
outdoor seating, I agree with an outdoor seating space and look, you know, sort of a plan that ties all these pieces together, so people, they get a book and they wanna go to the word garden,
Yeah.
sit down and read about it.
So they have. it's
Because the
where's
gazebo's
the
too
gazebo?
far.
It's-
It is
sort
too
of
far, it's a
away.
really good point.
Can the,
I mean, you can still
can you
use
move the
gazebo.
gazebo?
Uh,
I
No,
wouldn't,
I think we just wanna figure out. I would either make a nice path that goes in between those two buildings, but that's. Cause it's gonna be seasonal to have an outdoor space
right,
anyway.
right,
So you could make a really nice gravel path that goes between the library and the shed that goes out towards the word garden and have a
Mm.
nice sort of a gravel
Mhm.
area where you had 4 or 5 tables and a couple of Adirondack chairs
but
and
then let's think
umbrellas.
about how we wanna group gardens around
Right.
that and ask the friends, that, you know, the garden,
Right.
to just like to actually build a.
Well, let's get some people who know how to
think so.
do that.
Yeah, where's the shed gonna be again? Is it gonna be right?
It's right in front of the window, the children's room window and the office window. I mean, that was the only place we could cite it that had the,
It's between like the building and the book drop.
yeah, between the
And I
building.
really think
Okay.
we need to see it
Okay.
there before we do, before we can.
Yeah,
really-
because the only other place to have put
Yeah.
it was over towards the gazebo, and that was so far away
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
if people wanted to come back in to pay for their books, chances are they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I guess my plea in all this is that at some point we need to put in the, I believe in the capital plan, because it would be more than
Yeah,
$10,000.
some landscaping.
How to build it out, hardscapes outside,
I
for,
Mhm.
for sea.
Right, and to consider disability access.
Mhm.
Discuss, yeah.
I just think, let's at least 3 seasons
Mm.
space.
Can I add 2 other suggestions as well?
Yeah.
It might be worth our while to look into updating the cellar door.
Yeah.
The stairs
bulkhead.
are super janky, it's old, it leaks, like,
Mhm.
that might be something to consider.
10,000 or more.
I don't know, I have no
Yeah, me
idea,
either.
I have
That
no
one I'm not
clue.
really good on.
did the
That's-
stairs
that-
need as well?
In the cellar door,
Is it a?
I mean,
the
they're,
door and the stairs, are the stairs?
I
Yeah,
think
that
so.
whole bulkhead, I
Okay.
think needs to be
Okay.
fixed.
so that, I mean, is something to consider at least, and then, you know, I, I have no idea how this would work, but if we can continue the floor in the foyer over the stairs and change it into some sort
Yes.
of a trapdoor situation
Yeah.
to get down in there so that we could utilize more of that room.
Make that a little carrel or something in
Yeah.
there.
I guess I don't know what you're talking. about.
Right, where
We
the,
talked
where
about
the
that last
stairs
week.
are going to the basement, we had talked about when we were thinking we were gonna get an addition, we had talked about putting a floor
Oh,
over that
Mhm.
staircase so that we could use it as a private carrel space or whatever else.
Yeah.
So I think we should do that. We should
Yeah.
definitely
Here-
floor. cover
Here,
that
here is
floor.
here's just my thoughts, and I just kind of, I don't mean this to be devious in any way. I don't. I would like to see our money go, money's been donated in particular, it's all part of the capital plan, but to use it for things like a new, we got the shed, we got a donation for that. Maybe if we could do some hardscaping outside to make this a welcome, tie our building together into one. And I just think, and I know the cellar, those things are important,
Mm.
but I sometimes, I don't want to say we spent our donated money from on.
But by the time we get to these projects, will it be the donated money or
Well, I
will
don't
we
know,
have
that's
run
what-
out of
see,
it?
that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm trying to, you just cut to the chase, thank you, how we space it sometimes.
Yeah.
That's important,
Well, I think we're at least creating a list.
yeah,
Mhm.
If we've got to have something by June, I
yeah, we
think
gotta put
that
dates in there. that's
we need to start
years.
putting dates in and,
Yeah.
and maybe
Okay,
Melissa
estimates.
as our building chair, maybe you and Angie and,
Yeah. we could do it.
me or
Maybe-
Roberta or somebody
maybe
else,
could
we
do it.
should sit together and and try to prioritize these things so that at least we have something to give the CIC in
Yeah,
June,
right.
right?
When
We
in
did a good
June?
job last year, and we
The
just need
end
to
of
do it again.
June. Is it the select, when is that meeting?
It is the fourth
So it's the
Wednesday
end
of every month, yes.
Okay.
They're
Right.
due before that, because they have to put it in, another order and send it out, but yeah.
Okay.
But
I-
that's.
I will be out of the country, May 8th through the 21st, so just.
We're good. They're good.
Well, maybe we should at least have some kind of a smaller meeting between now and the June board meeting. Because we've got a pretty big agenda already for the June board
That's what I'm
meeting.
thinking.
Yeah.
And maybe we should at least, when do you leave? The 8th?
Yeah, May 8th, yeah.
So maybe right when you get back, we should sit down and talk about these projects and try to prioritize them and figure out.
Because the thing is, we need to have costs too, right? It's part of
Right.
it. We have a long list of things, and to get people to give us estimates is, especially this
So
time of
you
year.
have a long list? Do you have a long list that you can share with us in addition to the things we've just identified?
I think the things we just identified is a lot, in terms of,
Well, it is. I'm just asking, are there other
Well, well,
things?
this is what I
Oh.
would do. There are some things, if we can't get them done, we're gonna keep updating this every year,
Yeah.
Right,
right?
That's what I was gonna
So
say.
don't, so I wouldn't freak out about
It's a dynamic.
having the but I want to have, I like to have it still out there. And if we say, you know, extending the a floor over the current cellar stairs, then
okay,
it'd be a 31, I'm making this up.
Yeah.
31, and we could say it might be 15, 20,000, I don't know what it is,
Right.
some number.
so we'll sit down and see, like, prioritize what is, we're gonna,
You guys have to decide like what year you want to do
Yeah.
things, that's all.
okay, all right.
So, I mean, I'm happy to help on that. I'm also at the end of June, I got a wedding at my house, so I'm gonna be a little busy. Yeah. But I'm happy to sit down with, you know, you and Caroline and Melissa and
Yeah.
Linda
Yeah.
or Robert.
So, yeah, we can figure out when I get back when to,
Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Cool,
So
all
we'll
right.
do that right after you get back,
Okay, that's a subcommittee.
at the end of, like, the last week of May or something.
yeah,
Is that
no,
too-
we're not breaking any rule, like, sorry.
No,
Like, we're-
we'll-
No, you're
we'll-
having
Warn it.
committee meetings, aren't you?
Yes, for subcommittee, yeah.
Or we could have another board
Warn it.
meeting. I mean, as long as it's warned, there's no
Yeah.
law that says we can only meet once a month. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that one just for the,
But we're just getting into a pretty long
Yeah.
agenda already for
Yeah, I
June.
think it should be like a regular scheduled, like special extra meeting.
that's a good idea. for a special meeting.
Okay.
And I think if you do it special just for this, I think it's more effective.
I agree.
Mhm.
We get to.
Because you know, you're just focused on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So new business is,
We did.
Melissa and Betsy looked at the requests for the interlibrary loan.
Go back to the drawing board.
Is there
Yeah.
anything?
Basically, yeah, go back. It was pretty, it was difficult to really assess, you know, it was mystery heavy, but I think Betsy and I and Carolyn agreed that it would be best to do some kind of survey and maybe in timely, you know, timing with the shed. Maybe either putting something in the newsletter. You know, maybe around the time that we're having the shed put in place and having, or before the shed comes in, like, okay, putting a survey out there. This is our new shed is coming, and what kinds of books, what titles are people interested in? Not just for the shed, you know, just for the library.
Melissa, did you and or Betsy have an opportunity to ask South Hero or Grand Isle what their sort of genre breakdown is? I mean, are we unique in our mysteries, or is this an island thing?
I don't know. I did not
I'm
ask.
kind of curious to see what they.
Yeah.
Yeah, what their genres are.
Yeah, it's, I feel like after Betsy and I and Caroline met, it's like it just affirmed that Caroline like really knows the readership, and like it is true that it's a lot of mystery, a lot of
So maybe is there anything else we need to do, or is it closed right now?
I think it
Into-
doesn't, I think it'd be closed right now, but I think I think it's a good idea to put some kind of survey out in conjunction with the shed coming, because it's a way of like advertising the
Or at
shed.
least with the summertime,
Summertime.
like, yeah,
So we
Yeah.
have the open, house, you put the questionnaire out there, maybe people fill it out, put it in the library.
Or Betsy proposed like putting something in the newsletter, and she said she wouldn't mind like getting emails from people.
well, and it might be easier to make something like a Google survey or.
Yeah,
Every month.
what is that? Yeah,
Yeah, something that like collects the data for you,
Right,
but
right.
we can figure it out, we have time.
Yes, I think it's time.
Well, we don't have all of
High
our summer
priority.
residents here yet,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
the question is, once we make a determination what kind of books people want. I mean, we just talked an hour ago about cutting back our budget and purchasing books.
but they can participate in the Adopt an Author program.
Right,
and
Okay.
pay for the books they want to come to the library.
How is that going?
Not well.
Okay,
I always forget about it. I think about it, I forget about it.
So we'll have a re-grand opening of the Adopt an Author program this summer too.
well, yeah, or maybe, adopt a genre.
Mm,
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. And we
Oh,
have
yeah.
to consider,
Or just so that if people really love historical fiction,
yeah,
hey, you know, every year give us 2 or 3 historical fiction books or something like that, right? I mean, it's,
and this
Yeah.
is gonna be an unusual
Off.
summer. And I think because not as many Canadians are gonna be coming,
yeah.
so who knows?
All right.
okay.
Is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight? Are there any communications?
Not for me.
So what are we discussing in June? We're discussing we're gonna have a
Well,
special
I think
meeting
we'll-
for
we'll-
CIC.
We hope so.
What-
IT allocation of select board, future funding for gaps. In, from
Funding.
whoever
We
funding.
will
Oh,
probably have.
this,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay, yeah, we're gonna get, I gotta go, my dog's crossing her legs. Kenny's proposal. The relationship with the Friends of the Library and the CIC suggestions, that's way too much stuff for one agenda.
Because we also have to
We're gonna
figure
have
out,
to figure out, we'll have to,
we're gonna have to plan some kind of a shed opening. We're gonna have to figure out an event. We're gonna have to talk about an event. So I think we're gonna need a couple of meetings.
well, I would think maybe we need to prioritize, not my call, prioritize what we talk about
Mhm.
next month.
Yeah,
Maybe not. What do you think?
I think we do need to.
So can we
prioritize.
have a
I think-
meeting to talk about CIC and at the end of that meeting, prioritize what we're gonna talk about in June? No.
I think we can have
Oh, I
the
don't know.
CIC, but if we have a regular meeting, I don't know if that's gonna take a whole hour to discuss that.
Well, I think it
Maybe
could,
we
with
could.
us, yes. My honest opinion,
Okay, well, then we
But
might
if not-
need a second meeting in June too.
but there's, doesn't say that we don't have, I'm not gonna call out the meeting. But what else we put in the agenda, but I know the CIC piece we have to get done.
Right,
Right, that's
And we've
why
done
we're-
it well, and I'm gonna keep,
Yeah.
you know, they've given us lots of, let us do what we need to
That's why
do.
we need to do that in May.
Yeah.
And you're right, if it takes an hour and a half or whatever, we'll do it, and then we can get
Yeah.
the.
We get too,
estimates
we
later.
get too diluted. Well, It
and I think, yeah,
was nice, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice.
and I think that's a quick discussion, the thing on Kenny, but I think the priority is to come up with some sort of an event unfolding of this book sale shed.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
we gotta start getting book sale monies back up. So I think, you know, it may not take place in June, but we ought to do something splashy over the 4th of July holiday weekend or something.
That's awesome.
To really get
Hot dogs.
people in.
Request
You know.
second meeting in May. And in the future, the mix of.
All right.
Most funding is the.
So is that it for tonight? So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll move.
Okay, all right. Good,
Okay.
good,
It's all
okay.
good.
All
Bye,
in
Melissa.
favor?
Aye.
Bye,
you.
Melissa, thank you.
For
Have a good trip.
this.
Thank you very much
Thanks.
for sharing
Where's
this.
she going?
Well,
And I really hate the
Where's she
idea. of
going?
Oh,
human-
did I just lose her?
Where's she going? Do we know?
no, I don't know. She was
I think I
tropical last-
accidentally,
She was in
Okay.
Florida before.